Well, hey everyone, welcome to a special video today. I was actually honored to have my friend Jennifer Johnmeyer, who is the creative manager over at Alamo Drafthouse here at Springfield, Missouri. I was able to talk to her about movie theater experiences with candy and snack foods, and I was also able to talk to her a little bit about the future of what movie theaters would look like. And so, yes, I hope you enjoy this video. It's something new. I don't exactly know what I'm going to be calling this segment. I might even create some kind of series out of this, or it could just be a one-time thing. So anyway, I am very happy to have you all watch this and have this conversation unfold. But as you make it to the end of the video, don't forget to hit that notification bell, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around. Hey, Jennifer.
Hello.
Hey, I'm doing great. You?
Great. Just living my best life.
All right, so let me, I guess, introduce to the people watching who you are. This is Jennifer Johnmeyer. She is the creative manager at Alamo Drafthouse, where we are at.
That's right. Yep.
She also runs the Freelance by Jen. It's a really great blog. Really great posts that involve presidents sometimes. Sometimes it involves Little Debbie snack cakes, which she's also an aficionado of. She also talks about music on there and films she's watching. She actually even beats me at Letterboxd all the time. She crushes me watching films. And, I'm the one who has all these movies behind me that I should be watching, right?
Yeah, I've really kind of dropped the ball the last few weeks, though. It's like I just hit a wall, and I'm like, well, I'm done for a minute.
You're done for a minute. We have to move on and do other things. I try to read. I have to grade papers. It's fun.
Yeah, I still have the book from your book club that I haven't. I read the first chapter, and then I put it down. It slid under the couch at some point. So then I found it, and then I'm like, I gotta start reading.
Yeah, it's a book about plants. So you're just trying to naturally decompose the book by putting it underneath, connect it back to that.
It was purposeful, totally.
Well, yeah. But besides all of those things, she's most importantly a friend. And so I've known her for over a year now, about 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I wanted to talk to you today about a couple things.
I can't wait.
Mind. What was that?
Not at all. I'm ready. Let's talk about stuff.
Okay. First thing I want to talk about is your love of Little Debbie snacks and also movie theater snacks.
Mm-hmm. I love snacks.
So where did this come from?
I think I've narrowed it down a couple of ways. One, I grew up, my dad owned a movie theater and a drive-in when I was a kid. And he didn't, I did a lot of grunt work because child labor laws.
Texas, right?
Right. And but what I would do was pay myself in Jolly Ranchers. And we weren't allowed to have junk food at home. Because my dad also had a gym. He was a man of many things. He also had a record store. He's also a CPA. So he had some things going on. And so with the gym came his love of fitness and nutrition and stuff. And then my mom was always into Weight Watchers. And anyway, long story short, the kids suffer, as they often do. And so I would sneak these Jolly Ranchers or whatever at the movie theater. And then as an adult, I decided if I wanted to buy snack cakes, I would. So I spent my 20s pretty overweight, I would say, just making up for all that lost time. And now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, you definitely made up for the lost time. But I'm like, well, I can't quit now. You know what?
No.
It's a lifelong thing at this point. So plus they're making new snack cakes. So then I got to try those. And it's, they're probably going to ask me to be like an ambassador at some point or a spokesperson, Lifetime Achievement Award. I got to get ready for all of those.
The award ceremonies. You got to prepare some speeches as well.
Right? I have a whole bunch of speeches, of varying lengths, and yeah, I'm excited for what is inevitably going to come.
Well, we had that scare a few years back with Hostess. I remember Twinkies almost dying. And then it got bought out. So Little Debbie was definitely on that shortcake list of things that might not make it.
It was pretty rough. I remember the Twinkies were gone. And it was, I even remember the date 11/16/12. Not that I have too much in my head about cakes. yeah, it was pretty terrifying. The only other thing that was terrifying like that was when Peter Pan was pulled off the shelves. This is
Oh
like
my goodness. Yeah. The salmonella scare.
yeah, and that was my favorite peanut butter, and I was so devastated. I was just sickened that. Yeah, those were rough times, dark times.
Well, it's interesting that you said Jolly Ranchers were your favorites growing up. So did you have like a particular flavor that you definitely went to?
Oh yeah, grape.
Grape? Yeah, that's a good one. I love
Yeah,
grape.
it was just a full flavor. That I had issues with the other ones, like cherry was a little too tart, and I never understood the raspberry Jolly Rancher. It didn't ever at any point taste like raspberry. Then they changed it over to a blue raspberry, which I guess that started happening because there were too many red fruit candies. I never understood why blue raspberry turned
Maybe
into
maybe it was all that red dye because I know that one.
maybe so,
There's a
but
red dye scare.
there was a red dye scare for sure. But yeah, I never, that just always tasted off to me. But grape was a good, consistent, rich, full bodied candy flavor. So that was my
It,
go-to.
well, grape is one of my favorites, and I'd like to say green apple I like quite a
Do you
bit
like?
too.
Yep.
But it's interesting you say that because it makes me think of like I guess the fruit flavored candies like Skittles or
Mm,
we have Runts, and
yeah.
it's interesting that you say that grape was like one of your favorites because grape is like some of my favorite. Like Laffy Taffy grape is
Oh,
great.
yes. Yes.
Um, but what I really hate is I do not like banana flavored any like candies. I like bananas, but I don't like banana flavored candies.
I'm right there with you. I love bananas.
Yeah,
I like a banana peanut butter sandwich on occasion, or just a plain banana, at night to help you sleep even.
right.
But
Potassium.
when when I first had runts, I that was probably my first memory of a banana candy, and I was like, "The hell is this?" You know,
Mhm.
it just didn't work for me. And then I like a banana popsicle though.
Right.
Every once in a while you can find just a plain banana popsicle, like the ice cream man. When I was a kid, we were allowed to at least get a popsicle. So they had banana or bomb pop. It was going to be a good day.
I always
But yeah,
got fudge bars.
the candy. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to turn down banana Laffy Taffy. That
Right.
was okay. But I didn't, when it first came out, that was always my last choice,
Hmm.
you know, if anything, really. But yeah.
So besides Sneak and Jolly Ranchers, since we talk about movies and film on this channel quite a bit, obviously with the background and whatnot, but do you have any like movie memory associations with candy or like snack foods or anything related to
Yes,
movies and food?
I do. I do. So I'm going to go with the first, just off the top memory. I was very young when E.T. came out. Um,
Mm.
and so Reese's Pieces were all kind of came out along with it. I mean, that's in my mind because that's when everybody knew Reese's Pieces were a thing. And like, I'm sure sales skyrocketed, but I loved peanut butter. So, and I didn't really ever love plain M&Ms, like they were just too small, or they just didn't do it. You'd have to eat like a solid handful at a time, I feel like, to really get the
Right.
full experience. But
See that melted shell on your hand,
yeah,
all the different colors on your hand.
it does melt in your hand. Um, but when I tried the Reese's Pieces for the first time, that was a game changer. Just the idea of the same little candy, but peanut butter instead of chocolate, I was all in. So, I that's the one thing that just pops into my head. The other, as far as other snacks, because I made so much popcorn, I never really liked movie theater popcorn. I mean, it's not that I didn't, and it's not that I wouldn't have any, but just when that smells in your clothes all the time, and you have the oil stains on your shirt, you just kind of you can just leave that at the door and never think about it. So,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, you mix in some Reese's Pieces with some popcorn. I mean, that's pretty good
You
too.
got
So,
that sweet and salty combo
mhm.
right there that actually makes things better,
I agree. I agree.
surprisingly.
Yeah.
See, I have a movie theater association. So the current theater that you work at,
Mhm.
we're what used to be the Campbell 16 here in
Yes.
Springfield.
Yep.
And I always remembered going to that theater and ordering myself cookie dough bites. And like,
Oh, yeah.
so cookie dough bites, or if I wasn't looking for chocolate, I would get the Sour Punch Straws blue raspberry
Oh,
flavored.
got those. Yes, that was a big one. Yeah.
Did you ever drink with the straws themselves,
Oh, yeah.
your
Yeah.
soda or whatever?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's deadly. It's like a sugar, Wilford Brumley, diabetes overload.
Exactly. But so good. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. But I mean, I never was really into popcorn either, honestly. Movie theater popcorn. I've always had it. And if I ever did a movie night at my friend's place, like, yeah, if they wanted popcorn, I just never craved it though. It's like, oh, it's there. Sure, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
But I will say that the popcorn at Alamo is pretty good. So,
It's the real butter. When people, because it's a real love hate thing, people either really love it or they think it's awful. We get a lot of very polarizing comments about the popcorn, but a lot of people don't know what regular popcorn butter is, but I do, and it's awful because it's this orange oil,
yeah,
and it's
it looks like
all
kerosene.
buttery flavored topping because there's no part of it is butter, but in Alamo it's actual butter, actual melted butter. So that's makes the difference right there.
Well, talking about all this artificial flavoring is definitely piqued my interest in like how this associates with movies as well. It's really interesting because you mentioned E.T. earlier and how
Mhm.
the Reese's Pieces kind of gained a foothold in like society as it was happening. Is
Yep.
there any movies you can think of that where like the marketing kind of played such a major role into like what was going on screen? So recently I just watched Robert Altman's Thieves Like Us,
Okay.
and that's a movie about depression during the 1930s, and it's a movie from the 70s, but it's going back to that time period in Mississippi South. But there's Coca-Cola everywhere, and I
Yeah.
mean like they're just throwing Coca-Cola at you. And I don't know if it was the 70s, kind of harkening back to like, okay, Coca-Cola did a lot of work during the Depression, but also at the same time, it's like, well, what time period is this movie coming out in?
Hmm.
Any movies you can think of that kind of have a similar role where like there's a product in there that like kind of just bolsters what what we consume?
Yeah, I always think of Coke first, just in general, because it seemed to me like they really got their foot in the door first. All of the early ads that you think, I mean, like you're not thinking about Pepsi or Dr. Pepper when you think of vintage pop ads. It's
Hmm.
always the Coke. And I suppose to a lesser extent you had a lot of cigarettes and you had a lot, alcohol, but I don't, as far as like really getting one specific thing in the, I can't think of anything. And it's interesting because that's a little bit part of my job now is to
Hmm.
pair, a movie with food or with drink or, candy or, a movie party.
Right.
Um, like we have gobstoppers for Willy Wonka, or I always have wanted to do a Hook feast because I love that scene but it's not, tied to any one brand.
Right.
So, but I love looking for opportunities to make a different movie about a certain food. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I really just think of the Reese's Pieces when I think
Yeah.
of like one specific tie-in. And then, like you said, Coca-Cola everywhere. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, it's interesting that that part of your job is, doing those movie parties at Alamo, and you get to pair some foods with the films that you're presenting. Like Willy Wonka, obviously, gobstoppers are like, that's Willy Wonka candy,
Yeah.
and I think that's really fascinating because there's a lot of movies, not even just snack food, but like pairings of feasts.
Mhm.
Like there might be a film like maybe I see. I'm having a hard time coming up with movies as well because I'm
Yeah.
sure there's so many of them that have good food pairings associated. So I'll give you a good hint. This is a booze one. But I've been recently watching the Fast and the Furious for the first time because I want to have a good time. And
Yeah.
Corona is everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's funny.
Corona Extra. I want to make sure everyone knows that we're not talking about the virus.
No.
And also NOS energy drink. But regardless, this kind of segues into, I think, your job right now as a creative manager at Alamo. What do you think of the current state of affairs with movies and movie theaters? Are they going to have to adapt to this current situation that we're in? What do you think is maybe the best move for theaters? Or is there any way that, obviously, distribution, we saw Universal put out Trolls World Tour, or a couple of other films just put on demand streaming. What do you think?
Well, I think that there is going to have to be some adaptations made, and I think that it's good. I kind of, I like a shakeup. I like to have to work for my job. And so, part of my job's always been to come up with something that makes people want to leave their house and watch a movie. And it's not always just having a really great movie. As far as like a blockbuster, we can kind of fall back and be a little lazy because people are going to come see like your Star Wars anything, or, Fast and Furious, Bond movie. But I still like to make it fun. I like to make it a little unique and give them something that they wouldn't necessarily have and definitely wouldn't have at home. So I love the challenge now of coming up with new interactive possibilities to get people to leave the house. But our thing, and it's not exclusive to Alamo, it's all the theaters, is we want to make sure that we're reopening safely.
Right.
So, but we also have a healthy respect for distributors wanting to explore their options. People have, like with with Trolls, people were willing to pay to watch that at home. And that's, I don't think it's fair to take options away from people. I want people to,
right.
Because I've definitely taken advantage of every streaming service. I think I've subscribed to just about everything.
Yeah, even if I have all this, I still have streaming services.
Yeah,
like the options are good. The part that's the important part.
Exactly. But I still am going to go back to, whether I work there or not, I'm going to go back to a movie theater to see a movie, to see certain movies, and to see older movies, because what I love about those experiences is you're going to see it with people who also love it.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're automatically in there with your buddies. You're all like celebrating the same stuff. My favorite movie is The Jerk with Steve Martin.
How far are you going, Jen?
In this fence.
To the end of this fence post.
Here we are. But I love it. And so we've done a feast. We've done a straight showing. We've had little props. And I just want to do that with everything. I just, so I think part of the challenge is going to be asking people what they want and then giving it to them. It's really not that hard. We did an initial survey, just kind of seeing what people would be comfortable with on returning, and that we threw in every possible thing, just to see what, where everybody's head's at. And by and large, what people want to do is come back to the theater,
right.
So I think we can all coexist peacefully. And I think that competition is a healthy thing because it makes everybody better.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to, try out new stuff, try out new, like different reduced ticket prices paired with different foods, or paired with different parties, or, whatever people want, we're going to give it to them. And that's what I love. That's what I love about Alamo, is that, we're like, yeah, let's try it out together and see what happens.
So it's interesting that you talk about having like new avenues, trying to like challenge ways of the conventional, what you're thinking of, how movie theaters have adapted to the current situation. But what about like older ways? So what I'm thinking is, like, specifically, I've seen people talk about this, and I'm sure this exists, but drive-ins. Do you think drive-ins are going to come back?
I would love it. I have some very fond memories of my dad's drive-in. It's just, it's automatic social distancing.
Yeah.
You get to just chill in your car. You have your little snacks, and you're in there with your people. You're kind of outside, inside. You get to watch this giant movie screen. We had a little like playground by the screen,
Yeah.
ours, and I think that was pretty common. It was a small town, so there weren't really any options anywhere close by. But and then had a little like concrete like concession stand area with bathrooms. And what I remember most about that was that candy melts. Drive-ins are usually
Yeah.
summer. It's more of a summer venue, obviously. So we had to keep the candy in the freezer, and so there were usually, like, I think Reese's were kind of the most popular chocolate that we sold there. But nobody ever wanted the Crunch bars, so I could have free Crunch bars. And so that, that's the candy I associate with drive-in theaters probably for the rest of my life. But it's just a fun, you still feel like you're out with a bunch of people, but you can still kind of put yourself in the car and stay away from them. So I would absolutely love some options. I think with us, we had run into we wanted to give a full like cinematic experience. And so
right.
with the screen, we would need to just turn our parking lot into a drive-in was pretty cost prohibitive. And then,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still hope that there's a possibility of bringing that option, at least, some kind of portable screen to do some kind of fun outdoor event.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do a rolling road show, and have that, the Jaws on the water or.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out a local water park where we could do that for 2 years, and it hasn't come together yet, but I love the idea of just going to different spots that'll make a movie that much more impactful. So those are all the kinds of things that I would love to explore, when we reopen. Just
time will tell, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think this brings up like an interesting thing about like atmosphere and like being in a specific place when you're watching a movie. So obviously Jaws on the water, you're literally like kind of where it's like that 3D Muppet show at, Universal when you're watching, like you're immersed into, I guess it's 4D. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the 4D Muppet show at Animal Kingdom. And, you're getting that experience where you're like delved into like, the immersive nature of the actual water, or, the drive-in is like a summer movie. I always think of double features. I always think of action or like Disney movies. I for instance, I'll have a very little experience at drive-ins. I've had a few times I've been to a local one around here, about an hour away, 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And they've been really fun. I even had a few dates there, and it's been really great. But for the most part, though, I love going to the movie theater, like you said. Like I like going out of my house and being immersed into this place where it's like this space that is dedicated. I can put my phone away. I have to like turn that off. I have to like pay attention. That's why it's so hard to watch a movie at home for me.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I'm the worst.
Because I have to constantly talk.
Yeah, I break my own rules all the time. Yeah. I did watch, what did I watch last night? Crash. I had never seen Crash.
Which one?
It's Don Cheadle and
the one that's controversial.
The one that won the Oscar in 2006, I think. And so I was going through this AFI Top 100 American Movies list, but it just got boring. And so then I made a list of all the Best Picture Oscar winners. And so I'm like, I'm just going to work on that list. So I watched Crash, and I didn't pick up my phone once, and I'm glad, because you really need to pay attention to that movie, I think.
Yeah.
And so that was my challenge yesterday. I was like, I'm not going to pick up my phone at all. I'm going to focus on, whatever I'm doing at the time, and my phone's not going to play into it at all. And wow, it makes a big difference.
It really does. It's interesting that you mentioned that you're going through, you were going through AFI, and now you're watching the best pictures of the past. A mutual friend of ours, and actually you were just recently on his podcast.
Yeah.
Christian Hurtado, he runs Hurtastic Reviews, which you did great on. Great episode.
He's great.
We're actually, him and a few of us, mutual friends, our friends Seth and Daniel, we're actually going through Best Picture nominees. So like Guess Who's Coming Home for Dinner, Saving Private Ryan. It runs the gamut from all the way to like the 20s, with like Chaplin picks and or just it goes all the way to now. And so we're doing the similar thing going on right now. That's really cool.
That is cool. Yeah. There's so many of them, and they tend to be a little less dry than some of the F, although there are a lot of them that are on both lists.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. Do you have anything else to say about movie theaters or any foods or anything else related to what's going on in the world today?
I mean, I'll talk about food and movies all day long, but no, not anything specific to the pairing. I'm excited to kind of get back. Well, I love being home and catching up on all the things I said I do.
Right.
But, I'm excited to get back into a changed landscape and kind of forge a new way with all of our guests. So that'll be fun.
That's the great thing about your job as creative manager too. I mean, that creative side, like this situation's putting us into a creative, like we have to be creative to like adapt. Yeah. And I'm having to adapt myself because there's, I'm on the hunt for job right now, and I'm looking for things myself, and I'm just trying to be as creative as possible.
Yep. That's the thing. You have to, like, everything you knew before, you kind of have to throw out the window because, take it with a grain of salt, but for whatever industry, we're all doing stuff differently now. So
I'm glad you're optimistic about it though. So
right now I am.
Well, yeah, I know. Right. Talk to you in a few weeks or a month, and we'll see where we're at.
Given time. Yeah. Hit me up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Just the day. Yeah. Like I'm right now at this time, I'm fine, but hit me up a little bit later. I might be not so happy.
Dread is creeping in.
Yeah. Well, that was last night for me, just with all the storms coming in.
Yes, but I woke up at 5 and I was awake for 2 hours. Like, what is life?
Like, please stop. I'm trying to sleep. So where can people find you? I already said it, but I want to hear from you.
My website's freelancebyjen.com. I like to write about, presidential hot gossip from the 1850s, for example, or snack cake, like you said. But yeah, you can reach me there on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also Freelance by Jen, and then I have a Facebook page, Freelance by Jen. So it's nice and consistent. Okay,
I will put all those links down in the description down below.
All
right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast.
It's super fun.
Yeah, I hope to do this in the future. Maybe come up with some other topic, and hopefully everything's good. So.
That'd be great. And we learned some new recording techniques, so that's exciting too.
Yeah, I hope this works. So, yeah. So, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
All right.